morning, everyone. Welcome to your regular podcast called Knowledge Empowers. With you today is me, Kat. 안녕하세요. Then we have Baruch.
Hello.
And we have Collage.
Good morning.
I like when you put the hand, especially for those who are just listening. They have no idea that you just wait.
We know that it's possible to hear when you are, for example, lying down or smiling. So
That's
maybe
true.
this is possible to hear as well, in some way. You can confirm it if you're listening to the podcast. Please leave us a comment if you can hear my waving or not.
He just waved again. If you didn't hear that, then you cannot.
That was a double test. You need to have the test if it was there.
And
you need a baseline.
Also, for our listeners, in few videos back, I was like pretending to be Harry Potter, meaning when you were in their dormitories and you could see the people moving within the framed pictures that were on the wall. And for those who are just listening to us, that's exactly what I meant by it, because Baruch was at my place. So for collage, I was like first on my camera, and then I went to Baruch's camera. So that's what I meant by Harry Potter. So we apologize.
Explanation for this 2 weeks later.
Exactly. Doesn't matter. Okay. So we started the topic diversity, right? And I'd like today to discuss people with disabilities. And I know you guys don't have as many experiences as I do.
I thought that you will say disabilities.
As soon as you're born, you are already on the way to a disability. Because not necessary. So exactly like you said, there are actually 4 parts defined with disability. You can be born with disability. You can get a disease. You can have an accident. And you can have like a genetic problem that it just sort of progresses with your age. It's called cognitive. I'm not sure. So there are these 4 ways. And as soon as we reach a certain age, suddenly, my lower back hurts or my back hurts.
I cannot focus so much. I need a rest.
There you go. So sooner or later, we are going to have our own experiences with disability. But maybe I would just start with as simple things as our pedestrian's path. And now lately, in recent years, you can see that the municipalities are changing the pedestrian path when they are coming closer to crossroads, that the pedestrian paths are now suddenly lower to the level of the road, so you can nicely and easily sort of walk through. And many people maybe just think, it's just, I don't know, if you're on a wheelchair, etc. But it doesn't matter. So it's even for moms with strollers, right? Or you just have a bicycle, or literally it just makes life easier for anyone, or even for elderly people who have problems to put their feet.
Catch up the bus.
No, I'm really talking about now the lowered pedestrian path. And if you are not able to pull up your leg that high up, like if you have like a stairs, so it really helps literally to everyone. Also, there is part of this, I don't know if we can call it accessibility, but if you're in the lift, later you can hear there is a voice telling you, we are on first floor, we are on second floor. And many people think it's for people with eyes impairment. But imagine when the lift is fully stuck, like with people, and the person who is the furthest from the door doesn't even see on the display like on which floor they are, and they don't know it's now their turn to get out of the lift. So it helps them to identify, oh, that's my floor, please let me get out, and he's trying to push from the back of the lift to the front. So these super fine-tuned stuff help literally everyone.
I was surprised in my hometown. I discovered that there are actually buses, like in public transport, that tells you what is the next stop, but they will tell you outside of the bus. So that was a nice thing. I was thinking, like, how blind people know which bus to take. And I think this is it, right? So it tells you, okay, the next stop is, I'm not sure if it said the final destination, but I was surprised, like I'm hearing the next stop and I'm already outside of the bus and the doors are closed. This is something new. And I think it was nice.
Yeah, exactly. And these are these little stuff that really are helping us in our life. And maybe you only realize these little things when something happens to you. And before that, you are not even recognizing it because you just really think of yourself, I'm healthy and nothing bothers me. But let's now focus.
Sorry to interrupt. So what gets me is we were mentioning the 4 types of disabilities, and wheelchairs are pretty obvious. You know, you spot them pretty easily. Or you spot when somebody is limping, or if there are some other issues. What I'm mostly surprised about is that there is much higher people with disabilities than we think, because a lot of them are not observable. They're too tiny. And I think there is some ratio or something like that, or maybe like 1 in 5 people or something like that. I'm not sure.
Oh,
how many people is disabled?
That I don't know, but around the Europe, we have each country has a different law of how many people with disabilities you need to, as a company, hire. Otherwise, you pay fee to government. Here in Slovakia, as soon as you are having more than 20 employees, 3.2% should be disabled. Otherwise, you pay a fee to the government. The problem is, especially in our area of work, where we have to speak English as a primary language, you will not find that many people with disabilities who speak English, have IT experience or know specific IT stuff, because there is too many IT companies that fight for that little number of people. So that's impossible to do. But I like our companies that are not afraid to employ a person with disability. And we had employees with severe disabilities. And we had a colleague with muscle dystrophy, and all he could do was to just move his thumb. However, he had a software on his computer that everything was done either with his commands or by moving something. And actually,
you mean voice commands?
Yeah, like voice commands. And he was excellent in Photoshop, like in designing. And also he later certified for project manager and become responsible for Switzerland, Austria, and Germany, if I'm not mistaken. And that's the thing, that our company was not afraid to hire him, because the worst thing, and this is something that people don't realize, the worst thing is if you are stuck among 4 walls because you are not able to move your body, but your brain is working 100%. And you literally feel like you are an obligation to society. Whereas you could be helping and be part of the society. And we have now the technology that you can be part of the society. Only you need the help that someone will clean you, will maybe put you in the wheelchair, make the stuff around you available, but then you are on your own. And many people are really scared that if they would hire a person with such a severe disability, that it would mean too much work for them. But it's really not true, right? And really giving such a person the opportunity to work and maintain that the brain is working and can help at work, in society, family as well, is just giving that person a purpose, right? So you don't need to be depressed, etc. So we need more bold companies and really be open to hire people with disabilities. Also, we had another girl who actually had a horrible car accident and she became quadriplegic. And she was only able to move her hands. Of course, head, mouth, everything worked. And the type of a help she was needed during the work, that if she had to go on a meeting, someone had to open the door for her, take her to a certain floor, open the door for her so she could get there. Or if she had to join the call, that someone would put the headset on her head. And that was it. But again, people saw that, oh, okay, we cannot give her type of a work to work with papers because she's not able to write. But again, you just give her the access such as computer. And the only help is like, hey, can you put the headset on me? Sure. And again, you made that person to be prosperous for society, for work environment. And again, that person has a purpose. Because the worst that really can happen to you guys is if you are stuck among four walls, and that's it. That's the worst.
Yeah, I remember the movie Untouchable. I'm not sure if you've seen it. It's a French movie. Omar Sy is taking care, and he's a black guy. He's taking care of a quadriplegic person, so on a wheelchair, not able to move, almost not even a finger. He's actually, I think he's using his mouth to get somewhere, to move around. And it's about a true story about those two, and I think it has already some American version, a UK version, whatever. So you can watch the movie. And I like this one scene where the disabled person is telling his take carer, where do you find your quadriplegic person? Where you left him. And it was beautiful to see that actually they had such a strong relationship that the disabled person was able to say this joke, that he was making fun of himself and his own disability, which takes a huge willpower, I think.
And especially it's different when you are born with disability, and it's different when, like this guy, he had an accident, so he became quadriplegic. And it's different if you suddenly have an accident and that happens to you, because that needs very, very strong mind. First of all, you need to cope and sort of, because you're blaming yourself, like, why me? Why me? And then you are angry at yourself and everyone around you. That's the typical behavior. And then many of them don't see the future, what's next, so they give up on life. But there is really a lot to do, and it really needs like a strong courage. But the worst part is even if you are able to do stuff during the day, then the night comes, and that's even the worst, because it's just you and your mind. And really being quadriplegic, you are not even able to have a drink if you're thirsty, or it's really, really bad. And when I used to work in a quadriplegic place where I was looking after of people on wheelchair, either they were paraplegics or quadriplegics, and I really saw many people, and that was really visible also the difference when you are born with a disability, because you are born that way, you just take it, that's me, I'm just unique. That's how I perceive myself, I'm unique. I have my foot shorter by 4 centimeters compared to my left hand, so I'm unique. I'm the unique. But also, when you are born with it, you learn already from as a child coping with it, and you are how you are taking over some of the obstacles, how your family collaborates with you, help you. Best one is like also my mom. She never allowed anyone to feel pity on me. As soon as someone was like, "Oh, poor girl," she immediately took me away. Like, no, you can do things. Don't do them. So you are capable. And today, people that knows me, they don't know I'm disabled. They don't see it. But when I was still in first grade, for example, in elementary school, you could still saw it. So I was sort of limping on my leg, but my mom was exercising with me until I was 14 every day for 2 hours. Just so I could walk normally, etc., etc. And unless you really focus on my legs, then you will see it from the knees below. My calves are different, the sizes of my feet are different, etc. But let's go even further back. I just want to also tell people that if you have a colleague or a friend on a wheelchair or with any disabilities, and you just don't know how to behave around people with disability, there is a very simple thing. Just ask them. Every person will exactly
ask them what, Kat?
Like, for example, if you have a person on a wheelchair and you would like to help them, and this is a manual chair, and you'd like to push them, right? So ask them, can I push you? Don't do it automatically, because then the feeling you create in the person is like you are throwing them away from like a mountain. So just ask, can I push you? And they'll tell you yes, no. Or you'll see that, for example, let's say the leg is hanging out of the, let's call them bars, where your feet are normally landed. Just ask, hey, your foot is, let's say, misplaced. Can I put it back? Because sometimes the person actually puts it that way if they get spasm in their legs. So the change of the posture of the leg helps get rid of the spasm, and then they pull it back. So just ask. Don't do things immediately. First ask what should you do. Also, if you have a person with sight impairment, so let's say blind person, and they have accompanying dog, please, people, do not touch the dog. And especially if you're like me, and I love dogs, and as soon as I see dogs, it's like, Bobby, do not touch the dog. These puppies are very, very expensive, and they are trained. And that means that if the master is with them, the person, they are at work. And if you do want to pet the dog, just ask the person if you can. The person will give a specific order to the dog, and then you are allowed to pet the dog. But otherwise, don't do it. And if a person with sight impairments come for an interview with the dog, and now you just don't know, okay, is the dog allowed to come to the office? What about other employees who are allergic, etc.? These dogs have a special permit within the law. So they are allowed to enter even grocery store. Literally, they are allowed to enter any premises wherever the dog would normally not be allowed to enter.
We are talking about Slovakia, right? Not the whole Europe.
It's actually valid through whole Europe. These dogs are like really, they have their own laws for that. And they are also taught that you don't need to say, oh, should I bring a water to the dog? Should I do this, that, etc.? Not necessary. They are very trained. They will not do anything. Again, the master will just give them an order. Usually they will either sit next to the master or maybe lay close to the wall, and they will not bother anyone even for 8 hours straight without anything until again a new order comes, etc.
I wish I could say that about me.
You lay behind the wall for 8 hours.
Yeah, not disturbing anyone, not bothering anyone. That's not possible. I'm not trained well, I guess.
And also, if you would be hiring a person who has this special guided dog, then it really up on every company, because you also need to think of, do I have employees who are allergic? Because you need to protect them as well. In that case, I would really suggest that you specifically the floor where you would like to have that person be sitting, talk to the managers, that they can talk to the employees if that would be if that would bother them, if it's okay, and then because that dog would not walk around, or meeting people, etc. That dog would really stay close by his or her person. So you can just figure out, okay, if that's cleared, let that person in. Or you can even ask the person whether they need to have that dog with them all the time, or it's just on certain times, etc.
The dog just brings them to the work, then leaves and picks them up
Yeah, no.
later on in the afternoon. No, that's not how it works.
Isn't that Tesla
No.
car? I think you're confusing the two.
Exactly. And also remember, guys, we did once, because we were also going fairly often to school with hearing impairments, or school where they had students with hearing impairments. And we were challenged by the students that, oh, we always talk so nicely about the company, blah, 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 but they don't believe that we would literally give them a job. And we said, challenge accepted. And we identified 2 job roles, right? 2 job roles that people with hearing impairments could do, because there were no calls, no meetings, etc. And the way we decided to do it was, come for the whole day with us, and you'll be performing the job. And we paired one student with one of our colleagues. We train our colleagues in a way like, please don't shout, they will not work, they don't hear. Do not come from back towards the person, they don't see you, they don't hear you. Always approach the person from side, so they can at least see you, or knock on the desk so they can feel the vibration that, oh, someone is approaching. We gave every person a notebook and a pen so they can, write each other if they want to communicate. We prepared, once the students came, that what they're going to do, everything was nicely written down and explained, this is what you're going to do, etc. And after 5 hours, they spent 5 hours with every person doing the job, etc. And then also they arrived with the teacher, with the teacher that knew the sign language. And we're like, no, you go back to school. They challenged us. They said that we would not hire them, and they need to really have that feeling and living the life if we would hire them. So there cannot be any help of a teacher with the sign language. Come back at 3 p.m., then we'll have the feedback session.
Kat, I'm going to challenge you a bit, because from what you said before is that when you're hiring a disabled person, you said that company don't have to do anything, basically. Right now, you're saying that you needed to create an environment or new environment, ask people, get the notebooks, get the pens, teach people how to behave. That's a lot of work, actually. So what's I see the conflict here. Like, okay, so company needs to do something to hire a disabled person. It's not like it's everything like the normal.
Usually, not really companies, but people around, like managers or other employees, think that if they would hire a person with disability, it would require something on top of their duties to do more, or like, does it mean I need to pay more attention to the person with disability compared to the rest of the employees, because you should not treat others differently. You should treat people equally the same. You will need to accommodate accessibility around, and really depends on your disability. Also, there are forbidden questions that a person with disability is protected by law that you cannot ask during the interview. But what you can ask is, if we would make a decision to hire you, is there anything that you need for accessibility that we need to be aware of, so we have time to prepare the surrounding. For example, if the person is on a wheelchair, they will need the table to be put higher up so they can get underneath with the wheelchair. But you need to have a table for that. And the company might not have it. But if they know it in advance and they know, okay, the whole interview and onboarding process takes 3 weeks, we have 3 weeks to order the table, get it delivered, and we're done. Every bigger company have also special funds to make things accessibility. Same as if you have problem with your eyes, you are allowed to have external monitor, for example. Or if you have, let's say, a person with visual impairments, that you need to make sure and talk to employees around, you need to train them. Guys, if you, let's say, move away from a table, don't leave the chair as it strolls away, because that person remembers when they walked towards the table, what kind of obstacles there were, and suddenly if there is a chair, they might fell over. So just always remember just to push the chair, like that's it. Once you train the team, that's done. And same was here. We train people just to, normally you would learn these through experiences in life, but we didn't have that much time. So we needed to give like a quick overview to people. Please do not shout. These people don't hear you. So by raising the voice, it won't help, right? And even if you don't know the sign language, they're pretty good in reading from your lips. So articulate properly, write it down. And I wanted to say that in the afternoon when the teacher came and we were asking them for feedback, we also learned how many mistakes we did. So first of all, we gave like a feedback forms to every student to give us a feedback. And there were like a few questions. And then we were reading that those feedbacks, and the Slovak language was so strange. I'm like, that makes no sense. And it was written in infinitive language. And we were like, what? And then the teacher was, oh, I forgot to tell you, for people with hearing impairments, their language is the sign language. Any other language, whether they are born in Slovakia, America, wherever, that's a second language. So they have lots of grammar mistakes, or they use much easier, let's say, language. So they were using infinitive language. And we've learned that whatever we actually wrote down, all the explanation, they didn't understand it because it was written in a very complex way. Mm-hmm. However, that wasn't the problem for them, the way the work that we prepared for them or the words. Actually, they were afraid of the people around them. How are they going to be perceived and accommodated or talked to, etc. And once they saw that we are as crazy as them, that we, even though we sit next to each other, we don't talk to each other, we use the chat and like, hey, where are we going for lunch, blah, blah, blah. And when they had that experience to live it through, that we behave normally, we didn't treat them differently, the way we treat one another, they felt like, now I can imagine working here. They didn't want to do that type of job, that wasn't for them, but the experience with people who could hear and they spend the whole day with us was for them phenomenal experience. They never had such an opportunity. And that was for them the most valuable part. So that was a huge shock for us, that they were actually scared of the people, not the type of work or the communication, but the people.
It's interesting to me that such a school that is specifically built for people with this disability doesn't prepare them better for communication with the outside world.
I can't say that it's like that everywhere. I might say that's maybe, okay, I only have experience from Slovakia, from this perspective. I also have experience from Australia, but here it's because I was also on specialized school for students with disability, physical disabilities, and they pamper you. They try to protect you. And if you don't have strong parents who are pushing you, like I went on elementary school with normal kids. And that was during the communism. And during the communism, people with disabilities were hidden. My mom made the decision, why would I put her in her institute if I could just put her in normal school that is just right opposite my house? Okay? And we were actually two students like that. There was another girl. And I had older brother. So thankfully, no one was bullying me or making fun of me, etc. And I also had very good schoolmates who were protecting me as well. But that also gave a chance to the schoolmates to get used to it. Oh, there is a person different from us. And same was for the girl. She was in a different class. She didn't have a hand. And every time we went, for example, for swimming, she, of course, put the hand on the side. And whoever stared at it, her schoolmates were like, you have a problem? You have a problem? You know, like, what's your problem? So they were protecting her as well. But that was just something that because you have that experience with person with disability, you take it then normal. Because that's what happened, that in the 90s, once we get rid of the communism, and suddenly you saw people on wheelchair, people were staring at them, but not because of disgust, but it's just because they never ever saw it, right? And if you don't have that experience being assimilated with the rest of the group, no matter of the minorities or non-minorities, you are missing that experience. But the teachers tend to pamper you and protect you. And also, how many companies will you find that are willing to be open and give you that opportunity? You know, I remember only thanks to our foreign manager, when Uri came for an interview, our boss asked me, Kat, can you accompany me? Because I don't want to make mistake and you have years of experiences. And he was really focusing on his skill set, not on, is he able to work? How is he able to work? What are your skills? Once he told us his skills, and he had one condition, that he can only work from home, because that's where he had all the software and everything. So we had to send our IT people there to install the software, and that had to be across the company, but work with his system. That was it. And then he just shined, right? He got certified, etc. So if once you have those experiences, you are not afraid of giving people's a chance. And same is for you, Baruch. You lived in China. For you, the way you are looking at Chinese people is like, for you these are the most kindest nation in the world. Whereas we see, you know, our experience is all shitty clothes that are, you know, not
imported from China.
Exactly. Yeah, because that's our experience. Whereas your experience these are the most kindest people in the world. And that's just because of the experience. And maybe that's how we could end it. I don't know. All right.
That was
Guys?
great talk, Kat. I learned a lot.
Don't be afraid. Speak to people. Talk to them. Talk to them. Otherwise, thank you for listening. Stay tuned for next episode.
Bye-bye.
Maitisa, have a nice day. Bye.
This podcast represents our own opinions, experience, and our own ideas. We do not represent any official statement from our employers, and this is not their official channel representing the company.